Do our conversations about crypto have you wanting to do more with your career? Check out Fidelity, which has been exploring Bitcoin and blockchain since 2014. They were the first traditional asset manager to launch a native crypto business and also among the first to launch a Bitcoin exchange-traded product. So why consider Fidelity? Because they invest in their talent with continuing education programs and they invest in their technology, ensuring associates are working with the latest and greatest so that their crypto teams can continue to improve and evolve their product, staying ahead of the rapidly changing digital asset landscape. With Fidelity's iterative, scalable approach, built to meet today's increasing demands across the digital space and a commitment to developing innovative tools, there's never been a more interesting time to work in crypto and DeFi at Fidelity. Explore Fidelity Crypto Careers today. Go to crypto.fidelitycareers.com to learn more. That's crypto.fidelitycareers.com. Fidelity is an equal opportunity employer. And now it is on with the show. My guest today is Sam Klehr. Sam is the Global Head of Sales and Business Development at Chorus One. Chorus One, of course, provides staking integrations for institutions and investors and support for, well, over 40 protocols now and rising, I think. Hey, welcome to the show, Sam.
Hey, Andy. Thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show, Sam. It would be super cool if you could please introduce yourself. Would love to hear some of your personal and professional backstory. What have you been doing in the lead up to joining the team at Chorus One?
Sure. Happy to provide that background. So I'm a TradFi refugee in crypto, one of many. I began my career over at NASDAQ as a quantitative analyst before spending the better part of a decade at a global high-frequency trading firm. I'm embarrassed to say at that time I was a bit of a crypto skeptic. But around 2020, a friend tapped me on the shoulder and he said, hey, there's these proof of stake guys. They're talking about servers and data centers the way that you high frequency trading guys talk about servers and data centers. I think you guys, you should give it a look. I looked into proof of stake, and to be honest, that was what red pilled me into the crypto industry. I was pleasantly surprised that folks within crypto realize that economic incentives are a better control of human behavior than really advanced cryptography. And after that, it was all steam ahead. I joined Blockdaemon, another staking provider, back around 2020, 2021. Helped launch a Solana RPC management platform called Ironforge. And in late 2023, I was introduced to Brian and Meher over at Chorus One. Fell in love with the team. It felt like I find that the true crypto native bona fides, and they lured me over to Chorus One.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sam. So I guess maybe to begin with, it'd be useful if you could explain a little bit more about what Chorus One is. I guess, what is the mission? What is the vision? Any kind of just high level, points of difference against some of the other global staking providers. Yeah, please go for gold.
Sure. So in simplest terms, Chorus One is exactly that, right? We're a staking service provider. We run both public and white label validators for a truly diverse set of customer cohorts. We're talking everything from small stakers like myself, high net worth individuals, 3-person asset management firms, venture capital firms, I would say is a particularly large cohort of ours, liquid token funds, scaling all the way up to the leading exchanges, custodians, wallet providers such as Ledger and many others. Our credo really is to be a research-driven, engineering-driven staking provider. That's really how we differentiate ourselves. It's how we view ourselves, and the value that we add to the ecosystem of staking providers out there. So we want to be transparent with our research. When we find alpha, me as head of business, I would love it if we kept some of that sauce secret, but we're quite good around publishing that for the broader community. One, so that all ecosystem participants can learn more about these blockchain networks. They can have more clarity if they want to stand up their own validator, optimize their own staking performance. But really to hold on to those original hallmarks of truth of crypto, that this should be an open and transparent industry. So while we're laser focused on building institutional grade infrastructure, institutional grade product set for easy integrations with these large folks out there like custodians and exchanges and the top VCs of the world, we're still focused on maintaining a transparent and open ecosystem for everybody.
Yeah, 100%. And glad to hear that, Sam. Look, I think, numbers that I can see, Chorus One has staked over, 2 billion, paid out over 300 million in rewards, serving institutional clients across, 50 plus proof of stake networks, maybe. It's always interesting, Sam, talking to someone who's, kind of on the front lines in terms of, sales, biz dev and stuff like that, such as yourself. So, with that kind of hat on, if you're talking to, I guess, like, institutions who, like yourself, you said were initially skeptical of crypto, right? So can you think of like a single persuasive argument that you would use to try and, move the needle with those who are skeptical?
Sure. I mean, it's a tough question to answer because there's all different types of skeptics out there.
Of course.
And so, when I talk to, I think the biggest crypto skeptical person I know is probably my own father. And what's been interesting is after the past few years, we're starting to see the needle turn of those, let's call them retail skeptics, in terms of maybe it's not such a bad thing that you're in control of your own crypto keys and your own assets, that you're not relying on an institution to safeguard your economic future, that you're not introducing additional barriers to entry, integrating these systems. Now, that all sounds good from a philosophical level, but when I'm talking to those capital I institutions, the question's always around risk mitigation. And so as a BD guy, my corny line that I probably overuse too much is that Chorus One, yeah, we're in the staking business, but really what we're in is in the risk mitigation business. And there's multiple pillars to approach that. From a technical perspective, it means redundant, resilient infrastructure, utilizing geographically distinct data centers. It means security and compliance certifications like ISO 27001. It means that even though Chorus One has never been slashed and our customer funds have never been lost due to validate performance, that we go out there and preemptively provide slashing insurance and double signing insurance so that these institutional customers don't need to take my word for it. There's a moat around the fence protecting their assets. And I think that level of risk mitigation is paramount in bringing, the next billion, 2 billion, 3 billion of assets into the ecosystem. One of the unfortunate things, if you look at the past 5 years within crypto, is that primarily the risks associated with crypto have not come from the blockchain side. It's come from institutions, right? The very thing that we were looking to get rid of. So if we look at things like the, FTX and, other events such as that, then the real deficiencies are more on the institutional side. And I think it's a good kind of shame on us as a crypto community of, if we were looking to disrupt all the things that we didn't like in traditional finance, we need to be careful not to rebuild the very thing that we're looking to disrupt. And that means taking on more self-custody. That means maintaining control of your assets. That means gaining education around the core technical blockchain logic that's going on here. And of course, there's going to be risks associated with that in some degree. But as someone working for a non-custodial staking provider, that's the future that I want to see.
Yeah, look, it's a great point, Sam, when you talk about, the I guess the centralization threat or the institutional threat when you get entities that are maybe too big to fail. And so how do you think about that from, kind of like, I guess, an enterprise grade staking infrastructure provider versus thinking about the core tenets of, decentralization as a crucial part of any kind of blockchain?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, as the Scott, I would love it if Chorus One would be too big to fail. I think we're a little far away from that right now. I'm working hard to get closer to that point. But I also think that decentralization and enterprise grade solutions are not mutually exclusive, right? And I touched on resiliency and redundancy. Having redundant infrastructure and geographically distinct data centers, having differentiation in terms of your downstream vendors, these are all things that should be a check mark on every institutional compliance guy's checklist. And so I really don't view those two things as mutually exclusive, but I do think that there needs to be an appetite from the institutional side to promote that level of decentralization distribution. There's a lot of underlying protocol blockchain logic that encourages centralization on certain validators. There are a lot of folks out there that don't particularly care about decentralization. I think that's a little short-sighted. Now, the really encouraging thing is that when I'm talking, whether it's ETF issuers or exchanges or VCs or new asset managers in the industry, you'd be surprised at the number that really do care about decentralization, spreading the love around, making sure that they're deploying hardware in different locales, making sure they're using different providers. And especially on the foundation side, I got to give the blockchain foundations a lot of credit, because we have seen an increasing focus on democratization of their own chains, relinquishing a bit more control, and in some cases taking more of a proactive stance in terms of decentralizing the network itself. Something that comes to mind is the Avalanche Foundation, who in conjunction with Chorus One just deployed their first AVAX validator in the continent of Africa. And so that's great. I'd love to continue to see that trend, that focus expand across protocols and across foundations, hopefully setting up some more validators in New Zealand sometime soon.
I love it. I love it. Great to hear. You mentioned the integration with Ledger Live. So I guess that's like you want to bring MEV, optimized Ethereum staking to your user base. How would you describe the kind of the significance of that to, I guess Cora users and Chorus users and to Ledger users?
Yeah. So for Chorus, it's a tremendous opportunity, right? If we just talk about Ledger's user base, it's expansive, right? I think I don't have the numbers to back me up, but I'd be hard pressed to find another wallet provider bigger than Ledger. And so just the fact that we can now directly interface with their user base now has the convenience of staking to Chorus One and our maximized MEV architecture is, one, it's fantastic for us because we're opened up to a new set of users. For them, it's fantastic because now they're getting optimized rewards, higher APY, higher yield, deployed through an ethically sourced MEV boosted product. And so I'm really happy with the partnership so far. In general, the Ledger team is fantastic to work with. And in terms of their user base, looking for higher yield, all without the inconvenience of having to leave Ledger Live, fantastic. It's a win-win. So very proud of the partnership there, and happy with the growth of the product so far.
And I saw you guys you've been building a ton pool for the open network. How significant is that from an institutional perspective? I think the entry requirements have gone from 300,000 TON to just 10. Yes, it's always good to lower those barriers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I might start nerding out on the technicalities here, but it's a super exciting opportunity. When I look at protocols and distribution networks, like I'd be hard pressed to think of one that doesn't have higher potential than TON. Everyone in crypto, everyone across Europe, Asia, increasingly in the US, has a Telegram app already on the phone. It means they already have a crypto wallet on their phone. So just in terms of distribution channels, again, you'd be hard pressed to find a protocol out there that has a better distribution channel than TON. In terms of TON pool, TON as a network is very different than, let's say, like a Solana or Cosmos or these other delegated proof of stake chains, in that the delegation and staking mechanics are a bit more complex. On TON, there are two versions of a validator. One's called a single nominator pool, and it works exactly how you expect. You have a single nominator to that pool. That single nominator is responsible for staking enough to that pool to have it be in the active set. So we're talking, around 1 million ton minimum. And there are certain constraints there within that pool. There's also the concept of a multi-nominator pool, which again does what it says on the tin. And that allows delegation for about 40 addresses. But there are additional constraints there in terms of allowing for things like partial withdrawal of rewards. Delegation process is clunky. The nomination and election process can be a little clunky. And so those two vanilla options, they can get the job done, but it's not a great user experience, either for the operator, the custodian or wallet that's serving as the front end, or for the user. In that space, historically, the folks that have stepped into that are liquid stake providers. And so with them, you're able to pool assets from many users. On the back end, they have validators running, but and in exchange for delegating, you get a liquid stake token. Now, there's a couple downsides to that. First and foremost is that your APY yield on those liquid stake tokens is not optimized because they need to collateralize for their liquid stake token. You're not getting your full slate of reward. There's a couple middlemen in between that. One, they need to get paid for their hard work, but two, they also need to collateralize liquidity for that, second tier token. What Tonpool does is it really brings the benefit of all three of those solutions into a single easy to use platform. And so you're able, you don't have a minimum stake requirement. You don't need to be a millionaire in order to stake. A minimum stake for, single nominator pools anywhere from 300K to $1 million. For Tonpool, it's 10 Ton. It comes out to like 20, $30 right now. You get maximized APY. So you're not splitting your rewards with any middlemen. You're not getting inefficient yield. Right now on Tonpool, I think we're around 5.2 APY, which is just head and shoulders above the market. So it's great to be able to pass those rewards on to users. But I think most excitedly for a lot of our integration partners, it really obfuscates and abstracts a lot of the pain that's associated with these native pooling solutions. And so it's easy to manage. It's easy to partition customer assets and maintain KYC, and it's easy to delegate. Benefits for institutions, they can use this tool with no longer taking receipt of an LST. And taking receipt of that LST creates a lot of institutional headaches. A lot of folks, whether they're abiding by MiCA regulations or if they're delegating through a qualified custodian that can't handle the minting of an LST because they don't have the right license for that, they don't have to worry about with that with Tonpool. You're staking the native Ton, you're getting native Ton rewards, you can do partial withdrawals, you can do easy exits. And so overall, it's a great enhancement for the ecosystem. We're really looking forward to continued adoption there.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Sam. We talked about, you mentioned, the research that you guys did. So I guess a good example of that is you did an analysis of timing games on Solana. So do you want to maybe just use that as an example to kind of, run through what are some of the takeaways from that report? Any issues highlighted that I guess the Solana teams should be aware of?
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a spicy report for like Solana validator nerds, which admittedly is a small subset.
It's niche. It's niche, Sam. It's niche.
But what we were looking at is the benefits, the downsides of slot time delays on Solana. And so for context, there has been a lot of debate within the validator community on Solana around artificially delaying slot times in effect to boost APY and consumer rewards. And so we didn't want to just like sit back and, make some incendiary Twitter comments or to go off intuition. So our quantitative research team rolled up their sleeves and started running a few experiments on our validators. And what we observed is that there was an economic incentive, specifically on the Agave client, to participating in these timing games. It came out to around 3% or 27 basis points annualized for playing not just timing games, but also some code optimizations within the Agave client. And why this really matters is I think people would see this results and they're like, oh, well, this is an instance that, we should come together and self-police and basically, publicly shame validators that participate in this practice of artificially delaying slot times. And that's certainly an opinion. But the truth is, like, in a world and an industry like blockchain where data is the new oil and every millisecond has value, we can't rely on these social factors in order to police good behavior. In fact, through our research, we found that it's not a protocol level restriction. It's really a client side implementation on Agave. And the call to action should not be like, okay, we need to discourage people from taking advantage or for seeking highest APY delegations for their stakers, for their delegators. But we should push for client-side implementations and protocol-level reward distributions that mean that folks do not have this incentive and that rational actors should not be penalized for seeking higher rewards for their customers. So very proud of the research team in order to identify these structural inefficiencies within the protocol design. And yeah, in terms of general reward mechanics, I think it is a call to action in terms of a broader redesign on how rewards are distributed on Solana in general. Now the spicy bit is like one of the main detractions that people have against folks, artificially delaying their slot times to play these timing games, is that they think it's going to affect TPS, or transactions per second, which has always been a key performance indicator for blockchains. Now, one interesting tidbit that we came away with is that the truth is more nuanced than playing these timing games would affect TPS and overall blockchain performance, because within delaying these block times, longer slot durations allow for more user transactions and compute units accumulated per block. And that partially offsets the reduction of block frequency. And again, it's why this research is so important, so that we're not just resting on our laurels. We're not just going off vibes and feelings and funny tweets, but we're actually diving into the real implications of this activity and making sure that proposals that we propose, the solutions that we propose, actually improve overall blockchain performance and, aren't just done on vibes.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, what's coming up? What's coming next? We've talked about the MVV Max, the Ton pool. What else is on the roadmap and the near future, I guess, Sam?
For Chorus, like, the roadmap is always long. We got a lot of new protocols coming out. Hot off the presses, just 2 hours ago, we launched our Hyperliquid validator in conjunction with Falcon X. We're very excited about that ecosystem and supporting our institutional customers there. Later this year, there's a couple big projects coming out, whether that's Lido Institutional Vaults and Monad, both of which we're really excited about. But we've been talking a lot around, core blockchain mechanics and fundamentals. A big focus at Chorus One that I'm really excited about has really been more on that institutional integration side. And when I say institutional, I'm not just talking about, the super big guys like Ledger and the Coinbases and the BitGos and the Anchorages of the world, but folks that are bringing, whether it's a new wallet out, whether it's folks like Balance, who is a new QC trying to enter into the space, whether it's, any new project coming out, we've been developing tools to make it easier for them to integrate, because like the most valuable resource in crypto is not compute units, it's engineering hours. And so I'm really proud of our product team. They've recently deployed uh, great enhancements to our SDK that allow full integration in less than 10 lines of code. A staking widget that is really just copy and paste, allows for delegation to Chorus One validator, or, as I mentioned, any other validator within crypto. Again, business guy, I would love it if it was exclusive, but that sense of openness and providing folks the tools for them to make their own decisions is core to Chorus One's ethos. And so to be able to provide those tools to the community writ large feels really good. And I'm really proud of the work that our product team has done to get us there.
Yep. All right. Well, as we finish up this part of the podcast, Sam, for anyone who wants to learn more about Chorus One, I guess the services, products, resources, research, everything that you guys provide, what is the best way for people to get in touch, learn more, get involved, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Pick a social media platform, Twitter at Chorus One, at Sam Klehr, LinkedIn, follow our names. You can always contact us directly at staking@Chorus One for more individualized approach. And yeah, please do drop a line. We'd love to hear from you. We always like engaging with our followers.
Awesome. It is time to finish up the show then, Sam, and we do that, of course, by running you through the very famous Crypto Conversation Hot Take Round. Are you up for it?
I'm nervous, but yeah, okay. I think I'm up for it.
I'm sure you are, Sam. No right or wrong way to do it. Don't worry. I just want kind of quick, snappy answers. Hot take style is how we do it. Question 1 for you, Sam. Let's see what you have to say. Is very simply, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Yeah, I'm not what people would call a Bitcoin maxi. I do think it has a use case. I think you're going to see consolidation within the ecosystem where it's like maybe there aren't going to be 50 chains that are wide used, but closer to 10. So Bitcoin is a store of value. Solana, Monad, Sui, Aptos for transaction-based business. A few protocols for, I don't know, RWAs and privacy and ZK rollup, but it'll be a field of 10, not a field of hundreds.
Makes sense. All right. Well, what would you say then, Sam, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
Firmest conviction, NASDAQ on Solana is going to happen. You're going to see equities, futures, derivatives, options, all move on chain.
I love it. Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So with that in mind, I don't know, staking, what does it all look like in 10 years' time?
Oh, these are good questions. Staking in 10 years' time, you don't even have to think about it. Holding an asset in your wallet is going to be liquid staked to get passive yield the same way like that. I don't have to opt in for my bank account to give me, the risk-free rate I'm in checking or savings account.
Yep.
Let's go with that.
All right, I like it. Another way of looking at this is, it's a great quote by William Gibson, who, of course, famously said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Sam, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Crypto is it, baby. I think we are so overexposed, us within the industry, to the goings on within crypto and the minutia and the Twitter battles that we fail to recognize that 99% of the world doesn't know what the hell we're talking about. And so the future is coming, but we've got to really simplify it for the masses. It's an overused phrase, but like the next killer crypto app is going to be an app that people don't even know it's using crypto. And that's where we need to get to.
Yep. And it brings us nicely to our final question, which is, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
I don't know, maybe you planted the seed in my head, but like Snow Crasher is a hell of a book. And it's a fun book to read because you see the ripples in our current all of our current media, whether it's like Cyberpunk the video game, whether it's where Zuck got the name for metaverse. It all begins and ends with Snow Crash.
Does indeed. Multiple inspiration streams coming from Snow Crash. Great answer. Thank you, Sam. And that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. Just close it out by, again, directing people to Chorus One, staking provider, and, of course, shout out your socials, business and personal, whatever you want. Please take it away.
Sure. My personal is business, and I dox myself. So you can find me on Twitter at Sam Klehr, LinkedIn, I'm Sam Klehr, at Chorus One for the latest and greatest research on the staking side. Feel free to email us at staking@chorus1 with all your staking questions. We'd be happy to hear them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. All the best, and bye for now.
Excellent. Thanks, Andy.